How did he does it? Stuck in them mixed feels, yeah, cause I love.
Out of all the Fast and Furious movies so far, I have to say that Fast 6 is the most simple. They did not try to do too much with this movie. The plot was very straightforward. I can't believe I'm on the 6th movie. Only 4 more to go before I can move on to a different movie series. But anyway, enough delay. Let's get into Fast 6. So the movie begins wild and tense for no reason. Paul and Vin racing down the highway. This is how they bond. Mia is in the hospital ready to deliver the baby, and we have a montage sequence of all the movies so far. We cut back to Hobbs and his coworker, who he clearly has a crush on. We interview this Vin Diesel looking guy, trying to figure out where the villain of this movie named Sean is. Hobbs proceeds to assault this man. He didn't even need to do all that. Literally destroyed the entire interrogation room. The beating was worth it, however, for we learned that Shaw is in London. Vin and Elena is on a little vacation. They did Elena so dirty in this movie after a certain character returned, but we'll get into that later. Hobbs pulls up on Dom and was like, I need your help. And Dom was like, I'm rich, I'm not helping you. Hobbs is like, open this up. Whoa, is that Letty? Elena tells Dom to chase after his ex-girlfriend. Like, what? Hobbs is like, I can't catch Shaw without your team. So we gather up the squad from Fast 5. Everybody's extremely wealthy after the heist in the last movie, so they're all chilling. Except my boy Hans and Giselle. Hans tells Giselle that he wants to slow down and start a family. And she was like, nah, I love this life. My boy Paul is living a life Hans wants. He chilling with his family, thinking about the next time he could go fast and furiously, only for Dom to pull up on him and be like, it's time. Dom tells Paul about the assignment, and Paul was like, this is an illusion, Letty is gone. But Dom was like, I need to see it for myself. So now we're in London. The crew gets a new high-class hideout stacked with AKs, computers, all the shiny stuff. It's funny how in this movie the crew has way better equipment, but they are way worse than when they were in Rio. Baby Oil pulls up and explains the mission. So we're after a Spec Ops soldier named Shaw. Apparently he's like a big deal, and he wants to build an EMP bomb to shut down the country for 24 hours. Blah, blah, blah. I felt like Tyrese while Hobbs was explaining all this. Paul was like, okay, we'll help you, but you have to allow us to return to the US. Hobbs agreed and said it sounds like a plan. We find Shaw's hideout. I'm not even gonna lie to you guys. I personally did not think Shaw was that interesting of a villain. I mean, he's okay, but he ain't top 2. Shaw already knows that the cops are outside waiting for him to come out, so he gets in his triangular mobile and blows up his hideout. Now everybody's after the triangular mobile and they cannot catch up. This little car does damage. The chase was cool. Cars flipping and dipping. Dom runs into Letty and she straight up shot him. Whoa, physical and emotional damage. I'm not gonna lie, I felt bad for Dom in this scene. You could see he was hurt. He was like, damn, my bit really shot me, but I love her and I'm not gonna give up on her. I can't. I love this scene. We cut to Letty and her new team, who are extremely similar to our main team. Shaw pulls out a folder containing data on our crew, and somehow they have a candid picture of Vin and Letty in there. Like, how do you have this picture? They weren't even together since the first movie. Shaw gets jealous and was like, this is your ex? And Letty was like, I don't know, I have amnesia. Hobbs and Luda goes after some cars. This corny dude tries to be funny. Giselle goes after the guys that made the triangular car and interrogated him, only for Shaw team to pull up and air the place out. The mechanic dies. Giselle takes out the guy on the bike. Letty gets hogged down by Riley. Hans and Tyrese chase after Shaw's henchmen, and the crew gets straight belt to ass. Both Tyrese and Hans was no match for this dude.
No one needs to know about this.
But Letty and Riley really go at it, falling down stairs, body shots, punches. It was a good fight, only for Letty to get away safely. I don't really understand why they were fighting because, well, that's spoiler. We'll get to that later. Letty reports to Shaw and tell him one of his crewmates have died, and Shaw, being all cold, was like, really? Wow, that's tough. And Letty was like, but what about family? So, do you guys remember Braga from the 4th movie? Well, he's back. And guess what? He's working with Shaw. Paul comes up with this genius idea to talk to Braga, who's locked up in jail. Like, why would Braga want to talk to you if you're the person that locked him up? This doesn't make any sense. Anyway, so we get to LA. Paul runs into his old coworker that he two-pieced in the 4th movie and two-pieced him again. What? Why is this man helping Paul? So we're in the Shawshank and Braga visits Paul. He explains to him that Shaw was the mastermind behind his entire empire and made his business function smoothly. We then get the scene of what really transpired between Letty and Mother Milk from The Boys. Instead of shooting Letty, he shot the car and it blew up, erasing all her memories. How convenient. Paul was like, yo, you lucky this door is between us, because if it wasn't, it was really trying to take Paul out. Like, this scene had me stressed. But Brian nice with the CQC and he handled himself well. The only information we get from Braga is that Shaw has eyes on everyone, and you can't find him unless he wants you to find him. Back in London, we have our lovely Fast and Furious moment. You know how it goes, cars, ladies, people turning up, and all the good stuff. Letty was there buying the eighth, and Dom was like, that's my baby. Let me go say what's up. So Dom pulls up on her. She was like, bro, I shot you. Why are you following me? And Dom was like, yo, you my baby. I ain't letting you go like that. So they have a race. Dom win, and Letty was like, all right, I'll talk to you for like 5 minutes. Dom spits game and remind Letty of who she was before she lost her memory. And they were having a nice little moment. It was kind of cute. But Letty was like, nah, we still have an hour left in this movie. I can't come back to you just yet. And oh my God, here comes Shaw. Shaw is not cool. He tries to ask Dom to fall back and walk away. But Dom was like, give me Letty and I'll go. Shaw was like, I ain't give you nothing. He had the red dot pointing on Dom, but Dom had the red dot pointing on him. Everybody's ready to take each other out. So they tell each other good night and go their separate ways. Shaw hits an army base in Spain and steals this huge convoy. Now, this is an iconic Fast and Furious scene. It was pretty good, I won't lie. But what I'm confused about is how a tank got into this little truck. Anyway, Shaw's on straight demon mode with that tank. Instead of driving in the right lane, he went on the opposite side and started running people over. With the tank, come on, man. They almost blew Tyrese up. Man had nowhere to go till Paul pulled up and he did the most iconic movie jump of all time. Yo, that was fire. If you hating, hate somewhere else. The tank continues to terrorize the civilians on the highway. Shaw sends Letty outside to detach a car. The tank crashes into a bridge. Dom was like, my bitch. The tank flips, Dom jumps and saves Letty. In this moment, she fell back in love with him. You could see it in her eyes. See, fellas, if you want a shorty, you gotta go above and beyond. We head back to the army base. They got Shaw locked up. Paul apologizes to Letty for getting her mixed up in all this. And she was like, I don't remember. Letty goes over to Dom and was like, how did you know we were gonna survive that jump? And he was like, I did it. It was a leap of faith. My man looks so tired in this scene. Hobbs brings Shaw to the rest of the team, and Shaw was like, maybe you should call your sister, Dom. Oh my God, Shaw took me a hostage. He was like, let me go, and she lives. So they had to let him go. But the wildest thing in this scene was the love of Hobbs' life was actually messing with Shaw. What? This movie is so messy. So now we have one of the longest Fast and Furious action sequence so far. Shaw tries to escape using this humongous plane. The characters fight for their lives. Giselle saves Han's life and falls to her death. Shaw gets yeeted out of a window. The plane blowing up was so fire. I love explosions, so this was amazing to see. Dom escapes and walked through the flame like he was that dude from Fire Punch. Random reference, 90% of you won't get. And the mission to take down Shaw was accomplished. We head back home to LA. The gang have a nice cookout. And look who pulls up, Elena. Elena is way too calm in this scene. You lost your man to Letty and you're not gonna throw hands with her? Okay. Letty and Elena have an awkward conversation. Dom was like, you know, you don't have to go. I don't mind having both of y'all. Let me stop. The gang says grace and the movie wraps up. But the best scene in the whole movie happened at the end. We switch to the scene in Tokyo Drift where Hans crashes his car and blows up. And we see that the person that crashed into Hans was a transporter. He calls up Dom in the end and was like, yo, I'm coming after you. That's crazy. The next movie is about to be wild. I'm excited for it. Okay, let's wrap it all up, my Enigmas. What was this movie trying to say? Even though this was the simplest Fast and Furious movie so far, the message was to never give up on your family. No matter how bad things get, understand that they are going through things as well, and they would appreciate it if you stand beside them. It's also about never forgetting to go fast and furiously. That's all for now. Like and subscribe, follow the socials, the Patreon, all that. See you guys in Fast 7. Peace.